Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about presidents. Not just any presidents though. Presidents that no one gives a shit about. This is Chester. Chester A. Arthur. Put yourself in Chester's shoes for a minute. It's the mid-1880s. He's looking around at our adversaries, our enemies, other countries in general. And he realizes, these guys are making some crazy weapons. These guys are getting kind of crazy with their weaponry. And then he looks over at our ships. Oh my god. They're made out of fucking pine trees. So what does he do? He goes to someone, I don't know who, and he says, can we make these things out of steel and cement? And then that guy's like, that'll sink. That's gonna sink, it's cement. And then Chester goes, no, it's hydro displacement. It's the way the water comes around. You guys gotta understand that every president at this time was obsessed with making an insane fucking navy. We knew this since the War of 1812. We knew that we needed a crazy-ass navy because we almost lost to Britain's crazy-ass navy in the War of 1812. Now, why didn't we jump on this sooner? Slavery. Slavery got in the way of fucking everything. We couldn't do anything because no one would fucking abolish it. No one would let the blacks free. It'll start a war. Thousands and thousands will die. No, it won't. You're crazy. But yeah, after slavery's passed, every one of these presidents is just, fucking, we need a navy. We need a crazy navy. We need a navy. We need a navy. We need a navy. We have 13 aircraft carriers now. Did you guys know that? We have 13. The other cool thing Chester did was he abolished the spoils system. What is the spoils system exactly? Well, let's say you're running for office in the mid-1800s. You got your boys. You got your boys from high school over here. They're at your rallies. They're helping you out. They're saying all these nice things about you. You also have these billionaires over here, or probably millionaires at the time. They're funding your campaign. They're keeping you financially stable. Let me ask you a question, though. Are any of these guys capable of working a government job, working in the White House? It doesn't matter, does it? It doesn't matter. They help you. They're your boys. They're your boys. Get them in there. Secretary of Defense, fucking Chief of Staff. Someone can walk in the White House right now, give me $600. I'll put them on the cabinet. That actually happened. People bought jobs in the White House. This led to Chester signing the Pendleton Civil Service Act of 1883. This made everyone who wants a government job or a seat on the cabinet, they have to take all these crazy tests. They have to show people they're qualified. They have to prove that they can be in that position. This ended up stopping every president from being able to use patronage and getting their boys or these billionaires into the fucking Oval Office with them. I like Chester Arthur. I think he's cool. Presumed to be born in Canada. I don't know if you guys know that one. There was a big controversy in the 1880s that our president was born in Canada. This reminds me of that guy we had as president a few years ago. Fellow with the dark complexion. All right, let's go back in time a good ways. William Henry Harrison. I think it was James Madison made him the governor of the Indiana Territory. Do you guys know why it's called Indiana? Because there's Indians there. A lot of them. They're running gas stations and they're buying Honda Odysseys. 3 million acres were acquired by the United States at the Treaty of Fort Wayne. Why do we touch our penises, Master Wayne? Obviously, the natives are not happy 3 million acres is gone. They form a fucking militia, and they spin the block on William Henry Harrison. And this led to the Battle of Tippecanoe, which is, it looks like this chessboard right here, actually. Some Mayans, and then some conquistadors, right? Kind of similar. Anyway, there was this big battle, and Harrison fucked him up. And then 2 years later, Harrison's a brigadier general in the War of 1812, so he is branded as a war hero now. This leads us over into a big talking point of this video. What is the Whig Party? All the Whig Party was a response to Andrew Jackson. Andrew Jackson was, I don't want to say tyrannical, but he used the executive branch, the presidency, as a platform of power, which you're not necessarily supposed to do because that gets kind of close to a monarchy. We leave it all up to Congress. Congress makes the big decisions. The president, he can go suck a dick. I don't know. Jackson made sure he had a lot of power over the country as the president, probably a lot more than a president should at the time. He was just vetoing everything from Congress. You know how it goes. Everyone knows about Jackson. That's kind of as deep as I can go into the Whig Party. This party would not make any sense in today's political norm. They have beliefs from the modern Republican Party, the modern Democrat Party, half and half. They have tons of beliefs that do not relate to anything we're doing today. The Whig Party has not had a president yet, though. So they're trying to make a move. The Whig Party's saying, we have to get a guy that people will really like. We have to get a populist. Why are they saying that? Well, they're taking notes from fucking Andrew Jackson. Andrew Jackson was only president because everyone loved him. And guess what? They can get this guy, this fucking war hero. Let's make him look like an average Joe. Let's make him look like a totally average guy, just like every one of the other American people. Even though he's a rich kid from Virginia, I think. Is he from Virginia? They're all from fucking Virginia at this time. He's probably from Virginia. Look at this picture. Isn't that cute? Isn't that cute? As if he was ever in that situation. As if a white man in the early 1800s would be doing that job. Another thing about Harrison is that he's old as shit. He's like 60 at the time. That's old in the early 1800s. But to prove that he could do his job well, he gave the longest inaugural speech to date. And then, get this, guys. He fucking died. He died a month into office. He fucking dies. Shortest term in American history. His inaugural speech basically outlived his entire presidency. The only thing he did as president was, like, establish the Whig Party. Make it a big-time, new, cool thing. All the cool kids are in the Whig Party now. Please. Bunch of old losers who don't like Andrew Jackson. Andrew Jackson got a gun pulled on him. All he had was a cane, and he won the fight. These guys are fucking losers. Anyway, first time a president dies in office. No one knows what to do. What do we do? The idea was that the vice president would just kind of come in and chill for a second until they found someone really good to cover the job. That brings us over into our next guy, though. John Tyler, a very forgotten president, also William Henry Harrison's vice president. Everyone's just kind of like, hey, Tyler, you're supposed to just sit here for a second until we go get another brigadier general or a war hero or someone. Go fuck yourself, Tyler says. Literally, that's what happened. Tyler said no. And then he was just shit. He was an awful president. Such a shitty fucking president. He had no idea what he stood for. He had no real political beliefs. Imagine if Obama got in office and he was like, gay marriage? No. Trans marriage? That's John Tyler. And he's a Whig. He's in the Whig Party. Congress is supposed to run everything. I'm not going to veto any bills from Congress. No. Fuck the Whig Party. I don't care anymore. I'm vetoing fucking everything. Except he's not cool and calculated like Jackson, ready to just kill as many Native Americans as possible. He's not cool like that. He's just fucking stupid. One by one, his entire cabinet just comes in one day and just resigns, quits the job. And then they ejected him from the Whig Party. Oh no. Now he's an independent. He has no political party. And then not to mention, he becomes a Confederate. He works for the South in the Civil War later on. This guy's fucking stupid. He's so funny. This is the funniest president we've ever had. Dude, he's just a fucking idiot. He has no real beliefs, so he knows he has to, like, have something to stand for. So one day he's just like, let's get Texas. Can we just get Texas? That's gonna be my thing. I'm gonna get Texas. Mexico's totally not gonna go to war with us over this. Not at all. He doesn't give two shits about Texas. He doesn't care. But he's such a fucking idiot that he starts finessing the Democratic Party to run a guy named James Polk. A guy that will start a fucking war over Texas. He's one of the only other guys in DC that's like, yeah, we should get Texas. There's a few other guys, but he's the only guy that could be president. And guess what? He becomes fucking president. And we're gonna talk about Polk in the next video. He's like teetering on the edge because he's pretty fucking sick. Anyway, Millard Fillmore. It's a funny name. That's something. You guys want to know how he got that name? His mother's maiden name was Millard. His father's last name, Fillmore. Millard is kind of a cool guy. He was one of our first presidents who wasn't this Virginia rich kid. He came from nothing. Upstate New York. He lived in a tiny log cabin, ended up building his own house for him and his wife. Before he was president, he was in the anti-Masonic party. That is an anti-Freemasonry party. They had a lot of conspiracy theories and stuff. I forget why it was formed. It was the disappearance of some guy, and they said the Freemasons did it, or something like that. They said the Jews did it. The Whig Party is all about populism at this point. They know that the president needs to be liked to be elected, even though the general populace did not really even vote that much. So their idea was to get Zachary Taylor, who was pro-slavery. His vice president, Millard Fillmore, would be anti-slavery. Whoa! Do you guys get how fucking stupid that is? You try to make everyone happy, everyone's just gonna hate you. You guys gotta understand, the presidents leading up to Lincoln, slavery is the biggest issue. It's just, we can't get anything done. But yet every goddamn president up until Lincoln just does not want to fuck with it at all. Even Millard Fillmore, who's anti-slavery, nah, let's make a little compromise here. The Compromise of 1850 is what I am talking about. The bill included California entering the Union as a free state in exchange for a new fugitive slave law. This is some crazy shit that I'm about to talk about right now. The fugitive slave law was the compromise for making California a free state. The fugitive slave law basically said, hey, if you see a runaway slave in the North, bring them to the law. What was not thought out about this? That dudes would just be bringing black guys to the cops and be like, this is one of them. This happened all the fucking time. They were just bringing like regular, normal black guys who were free most of their lives. It's like, you gotta get back. You gotta go. It's very similar to when they say, that's my bike. The problem with making your people compromise is that they're only going to see the negative side of it. The South only sees this big golden state in the West. You can't have slaves there? What? That's like all Millard Fillmore did. I'm sure he did some more stuff, but come on. Franklin Pierce. He didn't do shit. He's just kind of known for being a handsome man. I think his name was Handsome Frank. I wish I was handsome like Franklin Pierce. I wish I got hoes and bitches. It's just the same shit though. Like, I don't really want to fuck with the slavery thing. Like, is it bad? Yeah. But that'd be such a job. I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to ruin all the fun going on down there. The only real thing about Pierce is he's kind of the train guy. He started the Intercontinental Railway.
It was the Transcontinental Railway. They didn't have a railway going from North America to Europe or anything like that. If you could tell, we don't even have that now. That'd be a crazy project.
Which was really hard to do when you had slavery going on because you're trying to put a train track through free states and then not free states. The other reason he's the train guy is because his son was decapitated in a train crash, like right before he took office. So he was just really fucked up when he was in office. He did this thing called the Kansas-Nebraska Act, which led to a really cool part of our history that no one talks about. It gets really overshadowed by the Civil War, and that is Bleeding Kansas. The Kansas-Nebraska Act repealed the Missouri Compromise, which said, hey, you can't have slavery over this line. It repealed that. That's not good. That's going to make people get really angry, right? So anti-slavery activists and slavery activists just started pouring into Kansas and just started fucking killing each other. Here's why I think it's fascinating that no one talks about Bleeding Kansas. It went on for almost 5 fucking years. If you had rooftop Koreans in downtown Atlanta for 5 years, I think that'd be talked about in our history a little bit more. It's only because it gets so overshadowed by the Civil War, which is a massive version of it. Pierce was also kind of a piece of shit. He was not a good guy. He blamed his wife for his son's death. He said, why did you put us on that fucking train? He's dead. Benjamin Harrison, grandson of William Henry Harrison. Let me just say, Benjamin Harrison, he's a bro. Benjamin Harrison is dope. Benjamin, he's a very ambitious guy. Took on crazy challenges throughout his life. Definitely had a Napoleon complex. A short little guy like myself, about 5'6". His whole circle hated him. He was arrogant. He's an arrogant guy. But he had reason to be arrogant. Let's talk about Benjamin Harrison in the Civil War. Back in the Civil War, Harrison just volunteers to raise a regiment and just train them and everything like that. That's his only job, is just to train them, make sure they're good for battle. When he's done training them, he realizes, I just don't want to send you guys into battle like that. I'm going to go with you. So he does. He just goes with them. And as these guys are on fire watch late at night, Benjamin Harrison, as a colonel, would just be bringing them coffee and shit. That's cool. That's cool as fuck. That's a cool guy. Ended up working under Sherman. Burned Atlanta. Well, I don't think he actually made it to it. I think he got sick before he made it to Atlanta. But the siege of Atlanta and Resaca and the cities north of Atlanta, Kennesaw, which is literally right here. Benjamin Harrison was like right here, just killing Southerners. Benjamin Harrison, after this, could have been one of our most anti-war presidents. He was so against it because he saw the fucking reality of it. He was PTSD maxing before it was even a thing. And that led to him, guess what? Fucking with the Navy. being all obsessed with making the Navy crazy. And that's something he did. He helped modernize the Navy right after Arthur. Everyone was into the Navy, though. Everyone was into the Navy. Here's what he did that was really cool as president. All this shit that Teddy did later on. I love Teddy. I'm not talking shit about Teddy. All this cool shit that Teddy did, national parks, everything like that, Harrison set up. Harrison put bills into action that would let Teddy take power with the executive branch later on and fucking run with these ideas. Anyway, the century has turned. It's the 1900s now. Let's go over to Warren G. Harding, known as the most corrupt president of all time. Let me tell you why that's bullshit. Harding comes in at the end of the progressive era. And yes, the progressive era is cool. Women can drive. Wow. That shit is tiring, though. Even if it's good stuff, it's still chaotic and it's still crazy. Harding promises a return to normalcy, and not to mention a completely hands-off government. And here's why I don't know why he's not remembered more. He was ridiculously popular. People fucking love this guy. Tens of thousands of people would rally at Harding's doorstep just to see him do a little impromptu rally. But he gets into office and there's rumors of adultery. There's rumors that he cheated on his wife, which he did. He did a lot. He was a dog. But let me ask you guys a question. What president wasn't? What president didn't cheat on his wife? Do you know what kind of personality you have to be a president? You have to be an absolute narcissist. Say, I can run this whole fucking country right here. I can do that. I, one man, can run this entire country. Do you know what someone like that probably does? Cheat on his wife. I'm squinting at this camera because it's a big light in my face. People act like every president hasn't done that. Not everyone. Jimmy Carter, fucking nerd. So that starts this whole scandalous thing with Harding, and people start to not like him as much. Especially because this is the first election women are able to vote in. And then this guy's just cheating on his wife. That's okay, whatever. Harding kind of used the spoil system, even though, you know, Chester Arthur was like 30, 40, 50 years before this. Harding's entire staff was just the boys that helped him get elected. They were the corrupt ones. Harding was not. Harding had nothing to do with any of this shit. Harding didn't do anything as president. He was a fucking anxious guy. He was just having anxiety attacks all the time in office. He could not deal with the pressure of the office. He didn't do fucking anything. He was paralyzed. So his boys ran everything, and they were taking bribes from oil companies and shit like that. The Teapot Dome scandal, everything like this. Really boring scandals. It's not Watergate. These are really boring scandals. I'm not going to go into them. Just bribes. Basically just bribes all around from companies. Again, as if this doesn't happen all the fucking time. He was not cut out for this job whatsoever. He just let the Republican Party dictate everything he did. Alright, I didn't know if I should put this guy on here, but Gerald Ford. Like, he's remembered now because he was president 50 years ago. That's very recently. But I feel like in 100 years from now, no one's going to be talking about Gerald Ford. Ford is kind of a Chad. He's kind of a base Chad. He's kind of exactly what you want in a president. As in, he did not want to be president. He became Nixon's vice president after, what's that goofy-ass name? Spiro Agnew. He became the vice president after that. Nixon gets impeached. Nixon resigns. Ford is now president. Never elected. Never elected as vice president. Never anything. Ford did not want jack shit to do with the presidency. He never wanted it. He just fell into that position. And he had to do what he had to do, and he did a very fucking good job at it, in my opinion. Ford was very liked for the first few days in office, and it's because he marked the end of this super chaotic era. Vietnam War, MLK got shot, the whole civil rights movement were on the fucking moon, Nixon getting impeached. He marked the end of that. He said, this is a chill, humble guy that can just be in office and do what he needs to do, and then he pardons Nixon. And then he pardons Nixon, and everything goes out the fucking window. He said, it's time for our national nightmare to end. Which is exactly right. He should have pardoned Nixon. That's exactly what needed to happen in that moment. What Nixon did was bad, but once again, every president has done the exact same fucking thing. The same people who got Kennedy got Nixon, but they just couldn't use bullets anymore because it was getting too sketchy. It's time for our national nightmare to end. We're done. Fuck it. Who cares? We have to move on. When you get broken up with, when you break up with your girlfriend, do you just keep texting her? Yeah, you do. You should stop. You should stop and move on with your life. You got a future ahead of you. This country had a future. It was time for that shit to stop. What I love about this part of the video is that a lot of you guys were there. when all this was going down. Why are you watching a 24-year-old talk about all this shit? You know a lot more than I do about most of this. The other really cool thing that Ford did was he pardoned the draft dodgers. And he did it in a really good way where he didn't just pardon them, because that would be kind of fucked up for the guys that actually did get drafted over there and didn't dodge it. I think they had to do 2 years of public service or service to someone who served in Vietnam. Something like that. That camera died. It's just me and you now. How you doing? You good? You okay? I don't think I have any more information on Ford here. No. He fired Nixon's cabinet. Yeah. Had to be done. Anyway. We're going to have a part 2 of this. Very soon. I'm going to talk about some other presidents. There's a lot more forgotten presidents that I want to talk about the same amount. So, we'll do that soon, baby.